My first guest today is really an amazing human being. And I want to tell you, she is not feeling her best. She is currently going through a bit of a bug right now, and she's pushing through. So, really give her some thanks in the chat. Her name is Danielle Dowell. Let me tell you more about her. She is a total superstar. If you're not here in the Chicago market, if you are, you know her because she's everywhere and everyone really just watches to see what she does. She's a trailblazer and everyone is so enamored with this person. I'm so grateful for her on probably the one of the hardest days of the year for her to personally be here. She's showing up. But let me tell you more about Danielle. Now, Danielle Dowell and the Dowell Group is a team of expert agents at Berkshire Hathaway Home Services of Chicago. She closed 100 million in sales last year, which is an incredible measure by any standard. I talked to top producers, very few of them did 100 million last year, with whatever their team structure is. Her career team has exceeded over 800 million in sales due to a large part of the impressive foundation in new construction, development, luxury residential, really anything, right? Now, whether you're looking to buy, sell, rent, or develop, the Dowell Group has the tools and industry expertise to make your real estate journey seamless. Her team also belongs to an impressive referral network. If you have any real estate needs in a new city, state, or even country, Danielle's able to refer you to a top agent anywhere around the globe. From the city to the suburbs, Danielle and her team will take you from contract to close. In her spare time, Danielle is a passionate advocate for investing and building. She has her own portfolio of investments, which is amazing. It spans real estate, venture capital, and other opportunities that spark her curiosity and align with her vision. She embraces fitness and basketball, prioritizing a strong body and mind as a foundation for her growth. And when the moment calls, Danielle loves to hit the dance floor, letting her joy of movement shine through. She also gives back to our industry. And if you're here in the Chicagoland area, you see her at all sorts of events because she always loves meeting other agents. So I want everybody to follow her on Instagram at the Dowell Group. I'll put a link to that here in the chat, Dowell. And let's give it up and give her a big thanks in the chat for coming on a hard day for her. Danielle Dowell, welcome.
Hello, how are you? Yeah,
Good.
sorry. I'm gonna try my best. My back is literally drenched in sweat right now. I have such a high fever,
Oh my
but we will
gosh.
make through.
We
Um,
will make it.
well,
Thank you so
yes, we
much.
will. So thanks for having me.
Yeah,
It's
I
wonderful. I
am.
love your podcast.
Yeah, this is not your first time. Danielle was nice enough to come on my show early in the gosh, maybe the first or the second year I had it, and she was
Mhm.
fantastic. And now she is making her return. We are so grateful to have her again. So, Danielle, I just want to kind of jump into it and get some ideas for what's been working for you, and maybe any suggestions you have for our audience. So let's what I really want to start is really kind of what you think separates what you do. There's 46,000 realtors in the Chicagoland area. You're in the top 1%. What do you think separates the top 1%, whether it's you or just other agents, from, the other 99%? What do you think you do differently?
Well, I mean, I think from a team perspective at this point, it's all about hiring the right people and putting them in the right positions and connecting them with the correct clients. So that's what I think that I do really well is to bring in the talent and to really help them. So when someone comes onto my team, I say, "What are you looking for?" And I have to be able to benefit from it, and they do too. It has to be a win-win for both parties in order for us to really succeed together. And that's just what we've been able to do. And I think that shows in how much business we've been able to, kind of have over the last couple of years, just because you've got the right people intact. And I explained to people too, even when I was by myself years ago, the same stuff that I did by myself years ago is the same stuff that I do now. Like consistency is key in the business, whether it's you doing it or whether you're hiring someone else as an assistant or someone to, help you with the marketing or help you with the things that you've always done. I think consistency is the biggest thing. And, when you start to get a lot of clients, a lot of people forget about that consistency, right? Or they don't hire in enough time and they end up burning out. I see a lot of that in the industry where I see people that could be phenomenal, but they just don't know how to manage it because it starts off as you being an individual real estate agent and it turns into you really being a business owner. And so you have to be able to transition that whole process if you want to do that big volume. Not that it's for everyone, But I think also if you get onto a team like ours, you can still do really good volume, make a lot of money, and have a really good support system. So I think there's a lot of things, but that would be the main couple things that I say, depending on where you're at in your career, whether you're beginning or whether you're growing a team, things of that nature.
And when your team is looking for other team members, because you
Mhm.
mentioned something that I think is really important, is a lot of times agents think I need to join a team. I want that guidance. I want that mentorship. And maybe, some teams even have leads or different ways to participate, or I want to
Yeah.
take a certain role. And I always say to people who are looking for that, I always say, make sure that you go to a team, a team lead with things that you can give them versus what they might be able to give you. Because obviously, as you said earlier, you're like, it's got to be a win-win for both. So when you're, thinking about adding to your team, like what qualities do you look for? Who are you looking for to join your team?
So I look for people that really actually want to learn. I mean, if you're a person that I can tell wants to learn, like I always tell people, I can show you how to make money, but I'm not going to make it for you. So, you have to be a person that can still get up every day like I do. And without someone micromanaging you, get to work and do what you're supposed to do. That's really what I look for. And I think anyone that's in this business that thinks it's going to be easy, this is not an easy business. It's not easy at all, but it's really fun if you enjoy it and if you do it correctly, and then it becomes easy. But to think that you're going to jump in and make a lot of money if in the beginning, it's not going to happen. So you really have to put the time and effort into understanding the market, learning. I mean, we teach zoning, construction, like all of these things that a lot of teams or regular individual agents would never know about. Because at the end of the day, that's going to make us more valuable to our clients because we really see in between the lines. We see the micro, the macro market. I mean, I do investing out of state too, so I can really see where the trends are going and what's happening. And that helps us really push through. And I think that's why our clients trust us.
It's amazing too, because people see groups like yours who do work with developers. I know you develop as well, but you often secure developer contracts, and they go, "Wow, she's so fortunate," or "She must have the in." And the reality of it is, you know a lot about that. You do it yourself, number one, and number two. You just mentioned we teach zoning. We teach developer skills so that you can be valuable to developers. That is amazing. And people always just see the end result. They don't realize that there's a huge skill set that goes along with working with developers, and those are not easy contracts to win.
Yeah, they're not. And I think sometimes people don't understand you when someone says, like, hey, this is what I do, or I'm an attorney, I'm an agent, I'm a developer, or this or that, not to say that people don't know exactly what they're doing, but you'd be surprised how many people may not have all of the knowledge base that they would need for that particular position. So I think what we do really well is help. Like, it's not just like we're not just selling, like, we're actually guiding you through the process. I have an in-house designer, we stay up on trends. We'll say, like, I would not put that in this product for this price point. Here's something else I would put in. I mean, we try to really save our developers money because we know what we can sell at a premium for what it is without having to overreach things. So I think that's expertise. When you show people how to make money, which is essentially what I feel like I do every day, I think that's when they come back to you and that's when they send you more business.
Yeah, I love that. It's almost too learning how to tell people, don't do this, don't do this, do
Yeah.
that. And
Yes.
that's an amazing, that's when you really get the client's trust. I love when salespeople, in whatever I'm personally buying and there's a salesperson, I love when they're like, oh no, don't buy this other thing instead. Or don't buy this right now, come back in a few months. Or, I love when people do that. I instantly trust those people. So I love that you have that expertise. Now, I want to talk about sort of the mindset shift, that any mindset shifts that have really been super important to you. So you start this business, you're individual agent, and now you run this massive team. Like, what's been a mindset shift that has really helped you transition?
So I think the abundance mindset is huge. I know you hear a lot of people talk about it, but it's such a big thing. For me, I have never been a greedy person. I've never cared about splitting a commission. I remember some of my biggest deals, like $3, $4 million deals when I first started. I mean, I was hiring other agents and paying them half of the deal because I just wasn't sure. I just didn't want to mess anything up. I ended up doing the whole deal myself and didn't need them. But there was that point where I just felt a little more comfortable. And I think that's huge. And that's even on my team. I'm like, we're going to split everything. I co-list everything, right? And like, I split everything. I don't mind. I think that it's something that like you really, that's how the abundance mindset, the more that you give back, I think the more that you get. And I remember when I first started in the business, I was like running around like chicken with the head cut off. And I'd be like I was sitting 4 open houses a week and I'd sit 2 Saturday, 2 Sunday. And I just kept like having people just did not want to work with me. I remember I called my brother. My brother is like, Danielle, just keep doing it. Like one day, like the faucet's going to turn on. It's like never going to stop. And he was never more right. And so I just kept pushing and pushing and learning and learning and learning. I've never been a fake it till I make it person. I wish I could, but that's just not who I am. So I have to like know everything. So I'm probably a little weird in that standpoint where like I'll overdo it almost. But I think abundance mindset is huge. Like, don't get greedy. Don't get on there like someone's taking some honestly, what I find people that feel like others are taking from you, the reason why they are that way is because usually they're taking from others, is my opinion. So but that's huge. I mean, and just like, give back to, just make sure that you're helping others. It's not only like that mindset, but it's also just a joy to see other people happy. And when you help other people, they will inevitably help you. It's just, it happens. I mean, yeah, is there occasionally one or two people or something like that that doesn't happen? Okay, good riddance on to the next, right? That's my thought process. I also am a strong believer of you cannot control what you can't control. So pretty much I freak out about honestly nothing. So I just don't really like I'm just steady stream like this all the time for the most part. I don't get too high, don't get too low. That's just who I am, but it makes it easy for me to get through deals and a lot of deals and really be able to advise people correctly. You got a lot of agents, they get crazy. I'm like, I mean, why are we getting crazy over like one inspection item? All right. Like, we're on the same page here. Everyone is like, we're trying to help each other. I mean, yeah, we're here to tell our support our clients, but at the same point in time, like, you can't control stuff. So, don't lose your mind over it because the energy it takes from you is going to be the energy you can't give to something else. It's going to provide a lot more for you.
That's a really important thing you're talking about is energy conservation. Like you're actually saying something very, very useful, which is not just, hey, let's be even keel. We should be even keel, or we should be able to tolerate some distress because in every deal there's distress. The client freaks out. There's a snafu. That happens. You know that better than anyone. And yet you hold the line, right? And I think that is an incredibly valuable resource for an eight for a client because the client can fall apart, but you're not. You're actually saying, I got this. I know what to do. I'm on your
Okay.
side. And that's something that I love that it really allows the client to have their own emotional reaction and then you can come in and kind of save the day. I wanted just to ask about open houses because you mentioned that at the beginning. So I know we have a lot of people right now that are like, I don't have any listings, right? And I always tell them every agent I've ever talked to on my show who didn't have listings when they started or at any time, they just begged people to do open houses for them. How important are open houses today? Is that still something that you are a big strong advocate for?
Strong advocate for it if you're good at open houses. I mean, you have to know what you're good at, okay? And if you don't, like have someone help you or tell you. But yeah, if you're good at open houses, then I think you should do them all day. I mean, I built like my business that way. I mean, I would sit for a weekend, and I remember I did a lot of my first big deals off of open houses. But I was, I would find stuff off market too at that time before we even had like PLN and stuff. I knew other agents. I was sitting a lot of new construction open houses because I asked if I could, and I got to know the market and I would find off market stuff. So then I had something to provide them when they came in that wasn't on market. I'll say out of all the people I sold, every single one of them bought something on market. But the fact that I was providing them with some information that they couldn't get themselves, it showed and it proved a little bit more of my value. So that was super helpful. We have people, I have people on the team that door knock. I have one girl that's insane. She like loves door knocking and she like slays door knocking. It's the wildest thing to me, but like that's what she does and she's really good at it. I think if you're good at like calling, like call, like I don't know. I mean, this is gonna date myself now, but like I worked at MCI back in the day when we did long distance calling, and I was amazing at it. Like I just didn't care. Like I was just like, I mean, I don't know this person. Like I mean, what I mean, I sometimes have fun with it, whatever. I think that's super important, but I think you have to know like what works for you. And there are some people out there that can do everything. That's few and far between, but like when you find those people, definitely hold them close to you. But do what works for you. But if you're afraid to like door knock, if you're afraid to do open houses, I mean, to be honest with you, like it just may not be the business for you. I mean,
Yeah.
that's just the truth. Like, it's just like you've got to be able to put yourself out there a little bit. And I think once you do that, though, the confidence that you get afterwards of feeling and like kind of, feeling a little bit like insecure or feeling like not 100% confident. And I mean, I think that really kind of promotes and ends up giving you the best bang for your buck at the long end. You've got to make yourself uncomfortable.
Yeah, discomfort is the path, right? It's not the
Yeah.
fun path, but it is the path. And
Mhm.
I want to talk a little bit about nurturing relationships because I know that is a huge, huge deal for you. You get a
Yeah.
ton of repeat business, and that is not by accident. So, what
Mhm.
are you doing? I always like to talk to top producers and say, what are you doing after the sale? How do you stay in touch with people? You've sold over 800 million. You've got a ton
Mhm.
of people in the past that have worked with you. How do you make sure that, well, you can't make sure, but how do you do your best to hope that they work with you again?
Well, I think the biggest thing is I really push this on our team, but just calling. I mean, people text and emails, like there people are over it. Like actually just calling a person. The reason being is you get on that phone call and you start having conversations and you don't know what comes out of it. You know, it could not even be them wanting to sell their house. It could be their friend. Where like I told this story, I had this client that I had done like 3 deals with. I had no clue that they had commercial property. They owned all these multifamily buildings, which we do a lot of multifamily too. And so one day I'm talking to them, I'm like, I didn't know you guys own this. Like, oh yeah, you know, we're getting ready to sell a few, but we just didn't think that's what you did because you're a residential broker. And I was like, no, we do a ton of that. And I sent them some stuff. So I ended up working with them. But you know, people don't know what they don't know. So until you start having conversations and like talking to them and picking their brain, you just, you know, you never really know. So I think it's super important to get on the phone. Like I try to call my clients as much as possible. At like right now with the lack of inventory, we're not even calling people and saying, hey, do you want to know what your house is worth? We're calling them and saying, here's what your house is worth. Do you want to
Love
sell it?
it.
I can get you this price. Like, this is what it is. Like, let's try it. Like, I think I can do it. Like, and that's it because like asking if they want something is different. We're just telling them. So, I mean, I think calling is the biggest thing. And a lot of people are very uncomfortable with that too. But these people have worked with you, right? I mean, they really
Yeah.
enjoy hearing with you. Even if the transaction like went a little awry or maybe it wasn't the best, I feel like if you keep calling them, they kind of a little bit like forget about that and or just like, you know, these are people, this is how it works, right? Like I mean, I just yeah, just pick up the phone is the easiest, I think.
I love that you don't ask for somebody if they want to know the value of their home because everybody always wants to know the value of their home. You don't have to
Mhm.
ask them. You just get to tell them. I just got the email from Zillow. I set mine up for like a monthly thing for this estimate, whether you know whatever we think about this estimate, whether it's accurate or not. I still look at that number, and the moment it hits my inbox, even though I know it's probably not that accurate, I lunge for it. I'm always like, please show me some good news. And I'm in the
Yeah.
business. I could do this myself, and I still look at the Zillow number because I'm like, oh, someone else is doing it for me, you know. And so that's such a great tip for anyone out there, and even if they aren't your past client, right? They're just in your sphere. Like you could do this for
Mhm.
anybody, and I mean that is always a call that somebody is going to want to take, you know, unless of course we're in a down market. But right now, prices have gone up over the last 5 years. Like you are going to look like a hero if they bought within that time frame. So I love that. What a great suggestion. Don't ask for this for the value home valuation. Just give it to people, and that's a great conversation starter too. It doesn't, that could be the only real estate thing you even talk about, and then it's going to naturally flow from there. You don't even have to ask like, and then you could always too say like, well, what are your goals in the next like 1 to 3 years? What are you guys thinking of doing? Are you going to stay put? You thinking of moving? I just want to update my database and and I'm sure you do all of that stuff.
We
Um,
do.
I want to talk about listing presentations because this is where business is won and lost. So I know that, obviously we'd all love to work exclusively by referral. People never talk to another agent. Of course, we know that that just doesn't happen a lot of times. Sometimes it does. But when it doesn't and you're up against other agents, what do you think you do differently or what do you attempt to do in a listing presentation to kind of win that over?
Well, I mean, I think it depends. Like, I always ask who they're interviewing. Some people will tell me, some people they won't. If they do tell me, I probably know the agent and I know like what the difference in us is. And I never would ever talk bad about an agent or anything like that. But then what I do is go into like what I know our strengths are compared to that. And that's how I go through and do everything with my listing. If they don't tell me, then, we have a whole listing presentation, but we try to go over everything with them. I have a certain way of setting everything up. I like to send them comps and go through things with them. I don't give them an arbitrary number because I think like, I don't know, I don't want someone telling me an arbitrary number but not being able to explain it. So I think listing presentations, we do a lot of listing presentations. We also try to find out more about the information about the person that we're meeting to kind of have a background on who that is, maybe kind of what like who they are as a person, what their personality type is. Now you can find a lot of stuff out online. I mean, I even say this for my team, like, if I'm going into Lincoln Park listing presentation or a Wicker Park presentation or like a different price point, I will probably dress differently. I will do different things like that just because If I'm going into something where it's a high end, I'll dress a certain way. I don't want to walk into a $500,000 place and have them think that like I'm, they're inferior or something because nobody is. And we'll take anything. Like we do all price points. And I never want to not do that. I mean, and so, there's different tricks of the trade that we try to employ in order to really like, it's about like people, I would say like it's about being kind of a chameleon, and people really like being attracted to you and understanding you. And so that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to put people at ease because I think if people feel comfortable with you, that's when they want to list with you.
Yeah, 100%. Let's talk about like a typical day. And I know you manage a team, but you also do your own personal production as well. So,
Mhm.
what does a typical day, if there is a typical day, I know that you burn the midnight hour. You work a lot, and that is always a secret to everyone I talk to success. Nobody seems to not do that. But what does a typical day look like for you?
I mean, I usually am up like 6 or 7, depending on what it is. I work out in the morning typically, not every day. And then I'm usually in the office because I'm mentoring most of the time when I'm in the office. Some days, I usually one day I stay at my house just to get like a lot of my stuff done. But it's like anything else. I mean, I don't do as many of like the showings and things of that nature anymore. I mean, I do some obviously, second showings or this or that, because I have people on my team that are better than me at it. I mean, so I try to put the right people in the right places. But yeah, I just work all day, just kind of go through things. I mean, I have someone that checks emails, so like they hit me up on text if I need something, if they need to check something. But it's pretty, yeah. I mean, and usually at the end of the day, I mean, probably 2 or 3 times a week, I'm like out with a client, I would say, or like going to like a dinner or something like that. I'm trying to like not do that as much because I think that's why I'm sick right now. It was too much. But yeah, I mean, I get up and just pretty much work every day. I think that's the thing. Like, I mean, I enjoy what I do, so it doesn't matter. I mean, I still travel a lot too. I have a house in Missouri. I go down there and I love to go down there for like a month at a time because I can get so many different types of work down there than I can in Chicago because I can focus and be alone. So I can call my clients and feel relaxed. I can go through all my other like projects that I want to do and like literally, crunch my numbers. So I think there's a lot of different ways to do things, but I mean, most of the days I am working like, from up to down and, sun up to sundown is just kind of how it is. Now, do I have to do that? I mean, at this point, probably not, but I mean, I really enjoy it. I think, the thing is about it's a life. Number one, when you get into this business, it's kind of a lifestyle. It has to become a lifestyle. You can't really look at it as work, right? Because if you do, I think that it's, that's where it's going to be burnout comes and stuff like that. But you really have to enjoy it. And I do. And I think what I've done over the years is anything that I've started not liking to do, which I knew from the beginning when I first started that I wanted to do so many other things too, investing and developing, and even with VC work that I do. And there's so much other stuff in life that I thought I wanted to do that I just have been trying to always make sure that I'm hiring the best people to do the things that I can't do the best anymore.
Yeah, what would you say, just so that we know that you're human? What are you not good at in this business, and therefore you
Uh,
delegate it out?
I mean, I'm not good at showings as much anymore. I mean, like if I like it, if it's like cool, like architecturally projects and stuff, but like, like when you're in a showing, like you're there and like you need to be fully present and everything. And my phone honestly goes off so much that it's hard for me to like be fully present to that. I also bonus the people on my team, and that's how they get paid. And like they are fully present and they have the time. Like, I mean, we hold like 40 to 50 listings at one time. Like, there's no way I could be good at doing all of that, right? So,
Yeah.
like, that was something I learned a long time ago. But I didn't want someone that was just a door opener, like you have to be in sales, like, you have to still know the market. I always ask, like, what are you guys looking at? Well, I want to know every property that you're looking at, and I want to know, I know the price of that. That's how I kind of teach on the team too. Like, you got to know inventory. We set ourselves up on like hot sheets every single day. So like we keep up with the inventory big time. So we can talk intelligently. That I'm not very good at paperwork. Like I have no clue. I mean, to be honest, I don't even know how to fill out a contract at this point. I know that sounds horrible, but like I mean, I could do it. I could do it if I wanted to, but like I have someone, we're just big enough now where I've got someone like 7 days a week, right? So like that stuff I don't know how to do. I'm not good at. I was used to be like super like detail oriented on all of this, but I think as I've gotten older and then also just we got so our deals are so much, I'm just not as detail oriented, unfortunately. And at first I was like, oh my God, is there something wrong with my brain? But then I started talking to other people and they're like, no, that's just how it works. So then I felt a little better about myself. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that I'm not really that good at anymore. But the thing is that that's why you hire people and you partner with people and you bring them on, right? And I think when we go into clients, like we do everything with two people, whether it's a buyer or seller. And honestly, I don't know how like a single agent, like if you have a decent database of clients, like how can you accommodate everything? Like how can you be at every showing on a Saturday, right? Like how can you, it's just not feasible, right? And the one thing I tell our clients, we do not want to miss anything, whether it's getting you into a property that's probably going to like literally be off the market in 24 hours, or whether it's like showing your property. Like we don't want to turn away one showing. Like we refuse to do that. So as long as you'll work with us and let us do it, we're not going to do that. So I think that's a lot of stuff that I'm not great at, to be honest with
Oh,
you.
I want everybody to think if you have a question for Danielle, we have her for just a few more minutes. Put that in the chat. I have a question though for you because I've noticed this about you and I think it really showcases. I know authenticity is a big deal for you and
Mhm.
you
Yeah.
show up authentically. And I love on social media how you present yourself, how you show up. You show yourself having fun in life and fun is really important for you. You're into things you're super passionate about like cars and vacations and you just get really really into stuff. Can you talk a little bit about how you express yourself on social media and what that means to you? Is that a fun thing for you to do?
I mean, it's fun. I go through times with social media where it's like sometimes I'm more prevalent on there with my personal life and sometimes I'm not, just depending on where I'm at and like my headspace and or how busy I am with work. So it's kind of like a little bit like this. I mean, consistently with work stuff, we're always there, right? But I think it's fun to like show people. I think I'll be honest with you, a lot of my clients aren't on social media. That's kind of weird to say, but it's like, I mean, now maybe a little more, but a lot of them haven't been. And I think the people that are on social media that pay attention to it, I think they do want to see like that personal side of you. That's how they're making a decision on what they want to work with. But I think I've always said this, and like no matter how much it is, like I tell my team this, like if we're not having fun, like it's just not worth doing. And I strongly believe that in life. And if it wasn't for my team, and they all know that, like there's like I would if I didn't have a team, I probably would not be. I wouldn't be like in the business anymore. I probably would like I don't know what I'd be doing, probably like somewhere else doing something else. Because I mean, I love it and it's great. I don't have a problem with it, but they're what makes it fun. Like they're the reason I come into office and sit in the conference rooms and mentor. They're the reason. I mean, it's just a good time. Like we all literally enjoy each other so much and we have such a good time together. That's really what makes it. But like if you're not having fun, I just don't do it because I think if you're not, whether no matter what's personal or professional, if your life isn't fun and you're not having a good time, like it affects every facet of your life. And it can be a very slippery slope. So I think like having a good time is number one, the first thing you should do.
The other thing too I notice about you is you love to learn. Like you mentioned getting into VC stuff, right? That is super cool because you just basically take your motor, the motor that just loves to learn and loves to try new things, and you just point it at things you're passionate about. And so like learning VC stuff, that is awesome. Like I love that you're doing things outside of real estate just to sort of expand your knowledge and obviously expand your portfolio, maybe create some additional wealth that way. But certainly that's fun. That's fun stuff too. So I love that you're doing that. It's a real inspiration to our audience here. Question from Abdul. A couple of questions, and then we will let you get better. Do you recruit team members, or do they come to you on their own? Like, how does that work on your team?
So I have not recruited yet. They've all come to me, and then I've decided whether I always felt like that was the best way because I'm not, I mean, we will grow as big as we can. We have the capabilities of being even bigger than we are. But I also thought to myself, like, if they come to me, then I know that's one step that they've already are interested and intrigued. And so some people I hire and some I don't. We'll see. I mean, there's like a couple of people that I really like. Maybe I'm going to start recruiting in the next couple of years just because I think our business is vectoring a little bit of another way, right? So that may be a possibility coming up, but so far, yeah, I've not recruited anyone.
And your team has grown on its own, which is even more of a compliment to obviously not only how much production you've done, but how you lead, right? Because people can join big successful teams and not be happy. We know that those teams exist here, and I've met your team members and they are happy. So that's very cool. Now, question from Tyson: aside from gradual referral, business buildup, and tapping into your sphere of influence, are there
Mhm.
any pay per lead or zip code programs any of the brokers like for new agents? So new agents be buying leads essentially?
So I think that depends on like how good you are at turning them, right? like if you can turn the leads, then yeah, and if your ROI is there, then that makes sense, right? But if you can't, then yeah, there's no point. So I think some people you have to kind of try it to see if you can. We started doing Zillow this last year. A bunch of people on the team like wanted to give it a shot. I was like, okay, fine, let's do it. We haven't got, I think we've only been doing it like maybe 3 months at this point. So I haven't really looked at like where we're at with it. Seems to be working pretty well. We've done Zillow in the past, and we actually never had a problem making money on it. It was sometimes it was just too much follow up for where we're at in the cycle, you know?
It's a
So
lot of
that
phone
was,
calls.
it
Yeah.
is a lot of phone calls, but when you don't have business, it can be one way to do it. So I don't think that it's a bad thing to do necessarily. It's just that you have to have a good team. And for me, even like my team that's on Zillow, like you have to hit, like I have to know that you can turn calls and I have to know. So like not everyone on my team is going to be on Zillow if I feel like maybe they're not there in that neighborhood yet or that price point or like, they're still learning because I've got, all ranges on the team of people that have been in the business a couple of years up to like some people have been in the business longer than I have. So it's, we try to put the right people in the right places in order to like make money, right? So if I feel like that person is not going to be the best or hasn't gotten to that point, then I wouldn't put them on there because I think that does waste the lead. So, but I think it's a good, I
Yeah.
don't think it's a bad thing.
Yeah, it's just a try it and see sort of situation. And two, remember too, like I have a lot of friends in upper management at Zillow, and they'll tell you like if you can close 5 to 8% of our leads, like you're a superstar. So that is a lot of phone calls, a lot of things that go nowhere. And but if you can land even like one deal a month, it probably pays for it or close to it. Two more questions, and then we'll let you go. What's one piece of advice you have for anyone out there right now that isn't maybe in between clients? So somebody's in between clients, they don't know what to do, they're not sure exactly. What would you tell them to do if you were, you will always have clients, but if you didn't, what would you do if you didn't have any clients right now?
If I didn't have any clients right now, like if I was starting over, I
Yeah.
mean, personally, I would set open houses. Like I would get into an area, I would call other agents, ask if I can set open their open houses for sure. And when I do that, I would learn everything about that area and that product so that I could advise everyone that came through super correctly. I mean, I think that's a no-brainer. That's really easy to do. I mean, if you have the time, I mean, there's a million things you can do. You can like door knock, you can call expireds, you can call canceled, you can, there's a lot of stuff that you do. I mean, if it's like you don't have to spend any money doing it, right? I would also say go and get out there and go to open houses and broker opens and really, really learn the product. Like in Chicago, I tell people learn the buildings because I'm telling you, I don't know how many times I was out to like dinners or sitting somewhere talking to someone or like getting my nails done, and they're like, "Oh, blah blah blah," and I'm like, "Oh yeah, that's blah 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 building," and they're like, "Oh, you know it." You really don't get it, but a lot of the small, subtle things you can put out into the world, people think that you may know a lot more information than you really do. And I think learning the market is so heavily important because even if you get the clients, if you don't know the market and you can't educate them correctly, you could waste a lot of time running around it to make no money anyway.
And this goes back to something you said at the beginning, which is you were never afraid to share a commission. So I imagine you get deals in areas where your team and you just don't service. You're like, we don't know that area well enough. I'm sure you find an agent in that area and say you're better served with so and so.
Yeah, I mean, I think for sure. I mean, I think, we are pretty much city and suburbs now. We have agents in the suburbs, so we kind of encompass everything in Chicago at this point. But yeah, for sure. Like I give out a lot of referrals and I help a lot of people. I think that's a good thing. I mean, the other thing too, kind of to go back to your other question, I would say, if maybe you see a top producer or you see someone that may need some help, like just being like, hey, like, can I come and help you? I would say like even not even making that much money. I've always told people like if I started from the beginning, I was an assistant. I would be an assistant. I don't like you're making something to like get an education. Like that is so invaluable. And a lot of people are like, oh well, I'm only gonna make X amount. It's not about what you're making. You're lucky you're making anything, honestly. It's about
Yeah.
like the education that you're getting that's gonna like, catapult you past agents that have been in the business 10 plus years because you're gonna do so much deal flow and you're gonna see so many scenarios that it will be truly the most amazing thing that you'll see.
Well, thank you, Danielle. You are amazing. You are not feeling well. You showed up. You
Thank
gave
you.
great content. We love you. And Follow her on Instagram at the Dowell Group. We'll have a link to that here in the chat. And also, if you're an agent in another market, well, guess what? She would love to talk to you if you have clients
Yeah.
coming and going. She has clients that move out of Chicago, usually down south when they retire. Certainly, a lot of
Mhm.
people do that. So she needs those referral partnerships as well. So if you feel you could add value there, reach out to her, let her know, what you service, and maybe you can start a relationship. And if you are here in the local market and you're like, I want to join a team like that, well, think about, go to her website, see
Yes.
what her team is all about, reach out to her, and maybe you guys can find some synergy together. And follow her on Instagram again, the Dowell Group. Danielle, thank you. We will let you go recover. And
Thank you so
everyone,
much.
thank you so much. We will take a 10-minute break, guys. We'll be back in 10 minutes and we will get started with the next session. Thank you, Danielle.
Bye-bye.